The cargo ship New Horizon moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the big front window. His ship was not fast or pretty, but it was strong and reliable. For 15 years, he had carried goods across the galaxy without losing a single cargo container. Today was different. The ship's computer was making soft beeping sounds that made Jake feel worried. His security chief, Commander Lisa Brooks, walked up to him with a serious look on her face. "Captain, we have 5 ships following us," Lisa said in a quiet voice. "They've been tracking us for the past 2 hours." Jake nodded slowly. He had been a space merchant for many years, but before that, he had been a soldier. He knew the difference between normal space traffic and trouble. These ships were trouble. "What kind of ships?" Jake asked. "Zephyrian design," Lisa answered. "Fast attack vessels. They're keeping their distance, but they're definitely following our path." Jake walked to the communication panel and pressed a button. "All crew to the bridge. This is not a drill." Within minutes, the small crew of the New Horizon gathered on the bridge. Engineer Pete Sullivan wiped oil from his hands with a dirty cloth. Dr. Amy Carter looked worried but ready. Navigator Ben Torres, the youngest member of the crew, stared at the tracking screen with wide eyes. "We have pirates," Jake said simply. 5 Zephyrian ships. "They've been following us for 2 hours," Pete Sullivan shook his head. "Those blue-skinned devils have been hitting human ships all over this sector. They took the merchant vessel Star Trader last month. Killed half the crew." "They won't take us without a fight," Lisa said firmly. Her hand moved to the weapon on her belt. She had been a colonial marine before joining Jake's crew, and she still thought like a soldier. Jake looked at his crew. They were good people. Pete had been fixing ships longer than Ben had been alive. Amy had saved more lives than she could count. Ben could fly through an asteroid field blindfolded. Lisa could fight off 10 pirates with her bare hands. But they were only 5 people on a cargo ship, and the pirates had 5 warships. "Captain," Ben said from his position at the navigation controls, "they're moving closer. Should I try to run?" Jake thought for a moment. The New Horizon was carrying medical supplies and terraforming equipment to Haven's Rest, a small colony on the edge of human space. Those supplies would save lives. The colony was counting on them. "No," Jake said. "We're not running." "Pete, how long until you can get our weapons online?" Pete laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Captain, we have 2 small laser cannons for shooting asteroids and space junk. Those pirates have plasma weapons that can cut through our hull like paper." "Then we'll have to be creative," Jake said. "Lisa, get our emergency weapons ready. Pete, start working on those mining lasers. Amy, prepare the medical bay for wounded. Ben, send out a distress signal on all frequencies." "What kind of distress signal?" Ben asked. Jake smiled, but his eyes were cold. "Send code 7, every human. Ship in the sector will understand." The crew moved quickly to their tasks. Jake had trained them well over the years. They worked together like a family, and like a family they would protect each other. On the tracking screen, the 5 alien ships were getting closer. Jake could see their sleek, dark shapes against the stars. Zephyrian ships were beautiful and deadly, built for speed and destruction. The aliens who flew them were proud warriors who had been raiding merchant ships for hundreds of years. "Captain," Ben called from his station, "they're sending us a message." "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The front window changed to show the face of an alien warrior. His skin was dark blue, and his eyes were bright yellow. Sharp teeth showed when he smiled. This was War Captain Dexmore of the Zephyrian Raider Fleet. "Human vessel," the alien said in accented English. "You carry valuable cargo. Surrender now, and we will allow your crew to live. Resist, and we will take your ship by force and kill everyone aboard." Jake stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the New Horizon. We don't surrender." "To pirates," the alien's smile grew wider. "Brave words from a merchant, but you are only humans. Your ship is slow and weak. Your weapons are toys. We have fought across the galaxy for 1,000 years. You have been in space for less than 400. This will be over quickly. Maybe, Jake said calmly. But we're still not surrendering. The alien's expression changed. He looked confused, as if Jake had said something strange. You would rather die than give up your cargo? We're not going to die, Jake said. And we're not giving up our cargo. The people on Haven's Rest need those medical supplies. Children are sick and dying. We're not letting you steal medicine from sick children. War Captain Nexmore shook his head. You humans are foolish. You think honor and bravery will save you, but you are wrong. We have better ships, better weapons, and better warriors. You are merchants, not fighters? You're about to find out how wrong you are, Jake said. And cut the communication. The alien ships moved closer, spreading out in an attack pattern. Jake could see the glow of their weapon systems charging up. In a few minutes, the battle would begin. Pete, are those mining lasers ready? Jake asked. Almost, Captain. Give me 2 more minutes. Lisa, defensive positions ready? All corridors are sealed. Emergency barriers are in place. If they try to board us, they'll have to fight for every meter. Amy, medical bay ready? Ready. For anything, Captain. Ben, any response to our distress call? Ben's face lit up with a smile. 3 ships have responded, Captain. The Iron Will, the Deep Thought, and the Unity, they're all changing course to help us. Jake felt a warm feeling in his chest. This was what made humans different from aliens like the Zephyrians. Humans helped each other. They didn't abandon their own people. Even if those other ships were too far away to help in time, they were coming. They would try. Good, Jake said. Now let's show these pirates what happens when they threaten human lives. The first alien ship fired its plasma cannon. The bright beam of energy hit the New Horizons hull, but the ship's shields held. Jake felt the deck shake under his feet. That's their warning shot, Lisa said. The next one will be for real. Then we better make sure there isn't a next one. Jake said, Pete, fire the mining lasers. Let's give them something to think about. The New Horizons mining lasers were not built for fighting, but they were powerful enough to cut through solid rock. When they hit the nearest alien ship, the laser beam punched through its shields and left a glowing hole in its hull. Direct. Hit, Ben shouted. Their shields are down. War Captain Nexmore's voice came over the radio again. He sounded angry now. Impossible. Human mining equipment cannot penetrate Zephyrian shields. Surprise, Jake said into the radio. We're full of surprises. The battle had begun, and Jake Morrison was going to show the galaxy exactly what humans were capable of when they fought to protect their own. The New Horizons shook as another plasma blast hit the hull. Captain Jake Morrison grabbed the metal rail to keep from falling. His crew moved around the bridge like they had practiced this 100 times, but they had never faced real pirates. Before, hull breach on Deck 3. Engineer Pete Sullivan called out from his station. The blast opened a hole near the cargo bay. Seal it, Jake ordered. We can't let them get inside. Lisa Brooks was already moving toward the exit. I'm going down there with a repair team. If they try to board us through that hole, they'll get a surprise. Jake nodded. Lisa knew how to fight. She had been a colonial marine for 8 years before, joining his crew. She had fought aliens before, but never pirates. On the main screen, Jake could see the alien ships moving closer. They were fast and deadly, but they were also being careful. The mining laser blast had surprised them. Now they knew the humans could fight back. Pete, how are our weapons? Jake asked. The mining lasers are working, but they take 30 seconds to charge between shots. That's too slow for ship-to-ship combat. What else do we have? Pete smiled. Well, Captain, we have a cargo bay full of shipping containers. Each one weighs about 10 tons, and we have magnetic cranes that can lift them. Jake understood immediately. You want to throw containers at them? Why not? A 10-ton container moving at high speed will do serious damage to any ship. Ben Torres looked up from his navigation station. Captain, one of the alien ships is moving to our port side. I think they're trying to get close enough to launch boarding. Pods. Jake walked to the weapon controls. Pete, get those containers ready. Ben, as soon as they launch their boarding pods, turn us hard to starboard. Let's make this interesting. Dr. Amy Carter was working at a medical station she had set up on the bridge. She was preparing bandages and medicines for the wounded. Captain, I've turned the medical bay into a combat hospital. If anyone gets hurt, bring them to me. Good thinking, Amy, but try to stay safe. We need you alive. The alien ship moved closer. Jake could see it clearly now through the bridge window. It was sleek and dark, with weapon ports glowing along its sides. The ship was beautiful in the way that predators were beautiful, built for killing. Boarding pods launched. Ben called out, "3 of them, coming straight at us! Now!" Jake shouted, "Turn hard to starboard." The New Horizon spun to the right, and Jake felt the artificial gravity struggle to keep up. The 3 boarding pods, which had been aimed at the cargo bay, suddenly found themselves heading for empty space. "Fire the containers!" Jake ordered. Pete pressed a button, and the magnetic cranes launched 3 shipping containers into space. The containers flew toward the alien ship like giant bullets. The first one missed, but the second and third containers hit the ship's hull with tremendous force. The alien ship's lights flickered. Jake could see pieces of metal flying away from the impact points. The ship was damaged but still fighting. Direct hit. Ben shouted, "Their port engine is leaking plasma." War Captain Nexmore's voice came over the radio. He sounded angry and confused. "How did you do that? Human cargo ships don't have weapons like that." "We told you we were full of surprises," Jake said into the radio. "You should have listened." The alien boarding pods had turned around and were heading back toward the New Horizon. Jake could see them getting closer. Each pod was about the size of a small room and carried 10 alien warriors. "Lisa, are you ready for visitors?" Jake asked into his communicator. Lisa's voice came back from somewhere deep in the ship. "Let them come, Captain. We have a few surprises waiting for them." The first boarding pod hit the hull with a loud bang. Jake felt the impact through the ship's metal structure. Somewhere below, alien warriors were cutting through the hull with plasma torches. "They're trying to board us on Deck 4, Pete said, reading from his instruments. "Right near the main corridor," Jake smiled grimly. Lisa had chosen that spot for a reason. The corridor on Deck 4 was narrow, with lots of pipes and cables running along the walls. It was not a good place for a fight if you were the attacker. "Second pod is attaching to Deck 5, Ben reported. "Third pod is going for the cargo bay. Amy, go to the safe room," Jake ordered. "Lock the door and don't come out until this is over." Dr. Carter shook her head. "I'm not hiding while my friends are fighting. If someone gets hurt, they'll need me." Jake wanted to argue, but he knew Amy was right. She was the only doctor on the ship. If someone got wounded, she was their only hope. The ship's lights flickered and went red. That meant the aliens had broken through the hull. They were inside the New Horizon now. Lisa's voice came over the ship's communication system. "All crew members, this is Commander Brooks. We have hostile boarders on Decks 4 and 5. Stay in your emergency positions. Do not try to fight them alone. Work in teams and use the ship's layout to your advantage." Jake could hear the sound of weapons firing somewhere below. The aliens had plasma rifles that made a sharp crackling sound. The humans had laser pistols that made a humming noise. The two sounds mixed together in a deadly song. "Ben, can you get us closer to that damaged alien ship?" Jake asked. "Yes, Captain. What do you have in mind?" "Pete, do we have any more containers?" "Plenty, Captain. The cargo bay is full of them." "Good. Let's keep throwing things at them until they stop shooting at us." The New Horizon moved closer to the damaged alien ship. Jake could see the plasma leak getting worse. The alien ship was losing power, but it was still dangerous. "Incoming message from the alien ship," Ben said. "Put it on the main screen." War Captain Nexmore appeared on the screen again. His blue skin looked darker now, and his yellow eyes were full of anger. "Human Captain, call off your warriors. My boarding parties are taking heavy casualties. Your crew fights like madmen." "They're not madmen," Jake said calmly. "They're just protecting their home. This ship is our home, and we don't let anyone take it from us. Your crew should surrender. They are outnumbered and outgunned." Jake laughed. You don't understand humans very well, do you? We don't surrender. When we're protecting our family, and this crew is my family. The alien captain looked confused again. Family? But you are not related by blood or clan bonds. We don't need blood to be family. We choose to be family. We choose to protect each other. The sound of fighting continued throughout the ship. Jake could hear Lisa's voice giving orders to the crew. She was coordinating the defense like a chess master, moving her pieces to counter. Every alien move, Captain, Pete said. I have an idea. The aliens are using their ship's sensors to guide their boarding parties. If we can damage their sensor array, their warriors will be fighting blind. Can you hit it with the mining lasers? I think so, but we need to get closer. Ben, take us in. Full speed. The New Horizon accelerated toward the alien ship. Jake could see the enemy's weapon ports turning to track them. This was going to be close, firing mining lasers. Pete shouted. The bright beam of energy lanced out from the New Horizon and hit the alien ship's sensor array. The delicate instruments exploded in a shower of sparks and metal fragments. Direct hit. Their sensors are down. Almost immediately, the sound of fighting inside the ship began to change. The aliens were moving more slowly now, more carefully. They couldn't see where they were going. Lisa's voice came over the communicator. Good work, Captain. The aliens are retreating to their boarding pods. They can't coordinate their attack without their ship's guidance. Jake felt a moment of relief, but he knew the battle was far from over. There were still 4 more alien ships out there, and they would not make the same mistakes as the first. 1. Ben, any word from those ships coming to help us? The Iron Will is still 20 minutes away, Captain. The other ships are even farther, 20 minutes. Jake looked at the tracking screen. The other 4 alien ships were moving into attack position. They had seen what happened to their companion, and they were not happy about it. Pete, how many containers do we have left? About 40, Captain. But I don't think we can surprise them twice with the same trick. Jake nodded. The aliens were smart. They wouldn't fall for the same trap again. He needed to think of something else, something they wouldn't expect. All crew, Jake said into the ship's communication system. This is the captain. You've done great work so far. We've hurt them and shown them that humans don't give up. But they're not finished with us yet. Stay strong, stay together, and remember that we're fighting for the people on Haven's Rest. Those medical supplies have to get through. The New Horizon prepared for the next attack. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the alien ships approach. He had been a soldier once, and he knew that battles were won not by the strongest or the best equipped, but by the ones who refused to quit. The aliens were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The 4 remaining alien ships spread out in a wide circle around the New Horizon. Captain Jake Morrison watched them on the tracking screen, knowing they were planning something bigger this time. The first attack had failed, and now the aliens were angry. Captain, Navigator Ben Torres called out, I'm getting responses to our distress signal. The Iron Will is 15 minutes away, but, Captain, there's something else. The Deep Thought and the Unity are also coming, and they're bringing friends. Jake turned to look at Ben. What do you mean, friends? 8 more human ships have joined. Captain, they're all changing course to help us. Mining ships, research vessels, even a passenger liner. Engineer Pete Sullivan looked up from his repair work. That's impossible. Those ships are scattered across 3 star systems. How do they coordinate so fast? Ben smiled. It's the Human Emergency Network, Captain. Every human ship carries the same communication protocols. When one ship sends a Code 7 distress call, it automatically gets passed along to every other human ship in range. Jake felt something warm in his chest. He had helped create that network years ago, when he was still in the military. The idea was simple. No human ship should ever fight alone. But he had never seen it work on this scale before. How many ships? Total? Jake asked. 11 ships are coming to help us, Captain. They won't all arrive at the same time, but they'll be here soon. War Captain Nexmore's voice came over the radio. He sounded confused and angry. Human Captain, our sensors show multiple ships approaching this position. Are you calling for reinforcements? We already told you, Jake said calmly. Humans don't abandon their own. Every ship you see coming here is crewed by people who have never met us, but they're coming anyway because we're human and we need help. There was a long pause. Then the alien captain spoke again, and his voice was different now, less confident. This is not possible. Ships do not risk themselves for strangers. There is no profit in it. You're right, Jake said. There's no profit in it. But humans don't always do things for profit. Sometimes we do things because they're right. The alien ships began moving closer. Jake could see that they were trying to finish the battle before the human reinforcements arrived. They were smart enough to know that fighting 11 ships was much harder than fighting one. Lisa, how are our defenses? Jake asked into his communicator. Commander Lisa Brooks' voice came back from somewhere deep in the ship. We've cleared out the boarding parties, Captain. 3 aliens are dead, 7 are wounded and captured. We have 2 crew members with minor injuries, but everyone is still fighting. Good work. Get ready for the next attack. They're going to hit us with everything they have. Dr. Amy Carter looked up from her medical station. Captain, I need to report something. I've been treating the wounded aliens, and they keep saying something strange. What's that? They keep asking why we haven't killed them. They seem to think we should have executed them by now. Jake nodded. That tells us something about how they think. They don't understand mercy. The first human reinforcement ship appeared on the tracking screen. It was the Iron Will, a massive mining vessel commanded by Captain Roy Mitchell. Jake had never met Roy, but he knew the man's reputation. Roy was tough, fair, and loyal to his crew. New Horizon, this is Captain Roy Mitchell of the Iron Will, came a voice over the radio. We're here to help. What's your situation? 4 alien ships, heavily armed, Jake replied. They're trying to finish us off before more help arrives. Not going to happen, Roy said. Iron Will is armed with mining charges and plasma cutters. We're moving to attack position. The Iron Will was 3 times the size of the New Horizon, and it was built for tearing apart asteroids. When it moved toward the alien ships, Jake could see the enemy formation start to change. They hadn't expected to face a ship that big. Second ship arriving, Ben reported. It's the Deep Thought research vessel. The Deep Thought was smaller than the Iron Will, but it was fast and had sophisticated sensors. Captain Helen Park's voice came over the radio. New Horizon, we're scanning the alien ships now. Their energy signatures show they're running low on power. That damaged ship is almost out of fuel. Can you jam their communications? Jake asked. Already working on it, Helen replied. Give us 2 minutes. Pete Sullivan was working frantically at his engineering station. Captain, I have an idea. These alien ships all use the same type of fusion reactor. If I can overload our reactor in a controlled way, I can create an electromagnetic pulse that will knock out their electronics. Won't that damage our ship too? Our electronics are older and simpler. They're built to handle power surges. The alien technology is more advanced, but it's also more fragile. Jake thought about it. It was risky, but it might work. Do it. Pete, but make sure you don't blow us up in the process. The 3rd human ship arrived. It was the Unity, a passenger liner that normally carried families and tourists between the colonies. But today it was loaded with 300 volunteers who had come to fight. Captain Dan Fisher's voice came over the radio. New Horizon, this is Captain Dan Fisher of the Unity. We have 300 civilians aboard who want to help. They're armed with whatever they could find and ready to fight. Jake was amazed. 300 people who didn't even know him were willing to risk their lives to help. That was the difference between humans and aliens like the Zephyrians. Humans helped each other. All ships, this is Captain Morrison, Jake said into the radio. We're going to hit them with an electromagnetic pulse in 60 seconds. After that, we board their ships and capture their crews. Remember, we want prisoners, not bodies. The 4 alien ships were moving into attack formation when Pete's electromagnetic pulse erupted from the New Horizon. The wave of energy spread out in all directions, and Jake watched as the alien ship's lights flickered and went out. Direct hit, Ben shouted. All alien ships are dead in space. The Iron Will moved in first, using its massive mining arms to grab the nearest alien ship. The Deep Thought used its scientific equipment to scan for life signs and weak points in the hulls. The Unity launched dozens of small shuttles filled with armed civilians. War Captain Nexmore's voice came over the radio, but it was weak and full of static. This is not possible. Human ships do not work together like this. You are merchants. And scientists, not warriors. You're right, Jake said. We're not warriors, we're something else. We're neighbors. We're friends, we're family, and we protect our family. More human ships were arriving every few minutes. A cargo hauler, 2 research vessels, a small passenger ship, and several mining craft. None of them were military ships, but all of them were crewed by humans who had come to help. Jake watched as the human ships surrounded the disabled alien vessels. It was like watching a pack of wolves surround their prey, except the wolves were trying to capture, not kill. Captain, Lisa's voice came over the communicator. We're ready to board the alien flagship. Do you want to come with us? Jake looked. Around the bridge, his crew was tired but determined. They had fought well, but the battle wasn't over yet. There were still alien crews to capture and ships to secure. Ben, you have the bridge, Jake said. Pete, Amy, you're with me. We're going to have a talk with War Captain Nexmore. Jake strapped on his weapon belt and headed for the airlock. It was time to meet the alien captain face to face. He wanted to understand why these pirates thought they could attack human ships without consequences. The boarding shuttle was small and cramped. Jake sat between Lisa and Pete while Amy checked her medical supplies. Through the small window, Jake could see the alien flagship. It was dark and quiet, floating helplessly in space. Remember, Jake said to his team, we want them alive. These aliens are going to spread the word about what happens when you attack humans. Fear is a better teacher than death. The shuttle docked with the alien ship, and Lisa led the way through the airlock. The alien ship was strange inside, with corridors that were too wide and ceilings that were too high. Everything was built for creatures larger than humans. They found War Captain Nexmore on the bridge, sitting in a chair that looked like a throne. The alien captain was wounded, with blue blood seeping from cuts on his arms and face, but his yellow eyes were still bright and angry. So, Nexmore said in accented English, the human captain comes to gloat over his victory. I'm not here. T.O. gloat, Jake said. I'm here to understand. Why do you attack merchant ships? Why do you kill innocent people? The alien captain laughed, but it was a bitter sound. You ask why we take what we need? We are raiders? It is what we do. It is what we have always done. But why humans? Why our ships? Because you are weak, Dexmore said. Or so we thought. You build slow ships with light weapons. You talk about peace and trade. You seem like easy prey. Jake nodded. That's where you made your mistake. You confused kindness with weakness. You thought our desire for peace meant we couldn't fight. Your species is strange, the alien captain said. You fight like demons when threatened, but you show mercy. To your enemies, you risk your lives for strangers. You work together without a central command. This is not how intelligent species behave. Maybe that's what makes us human, Jake said. We choose to be better than our nature tells us to be. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of the alien flagship with his team behind him. The ship was dark and quiet now, with only emergency lights glowing along the walls. Human crews from 5 different ships were searching every room, making sure all the aliens were captured safely. Captain, Commander Lisa Brooks said into her radio, we found 12 more aliens hiding in the engine room. They're wounded and scared, but they're not fighting anymore. Bring them to the medical bay, Jake replied. Make sure Dr. Carter sees to their injuries. War Captain Nexmore, who was walking beside Jake with his hands bound, looked confused. Why do you heal your enemies? We would have killed you all without a second thought. That's the difference between us, Jake said. We don't kill because we can. We kill only when we have to. They reached the alien ship's bridge, where Engineer Pete Sullivan was working on the computer systems. Pete looked up when they entered. "Captain, I've been going through their ship's records. These pirates have attacked 47 human vessels in the past year. They've killed over 200 people." Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Any survivors?" "Some. They sell humans as slaves to other alien species. There might be prisoners on their other ships." Jake turned to Exmoor. "Where are the human prisoners?" The alien captain said nothing for a moment, then he sighed. "On our base station, 3 star systems from here. 68 humans, mostly. Crew members from ships we've taken." "You're going to help us get them back," Jake said. "Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, we'll leave you here in space with no power and no life support. But if you help us save those people, we'll turn you over to the galactic authorities alive." Exmoor stared at Jake. "You would kill me if I don't help." "No," Jake said. "We'd leave you here with emergency power and a distress beacon. Eventually, someone would find you. But it might take a long time, and your crew would be stuck with you." The alien captain looked around at his captured warriors. Many were wounded, and all of them were being treated by human doctors. "You are strange creatures. You threaten us with mercy instead of death." Navigator Ben Torra's voice came over Jake's radio. "Captain, we have all 11 human ships in formation around the alien vessels. What are your orders?" Jake thought for a moment. They had captured 5 alien ships and their crews. They had rescued the humans who were being held prisoner on those ships. But there were still people being held at the alien base. "Ben, send a message to all ships. We're going to escort these captured vessels to the nearest human colony. Then, we're going to rescue those prisoners." "Captain," Pete said, "that base is heavily defended. We're talking about civilian ships going up against a military installation." "We'll manage," Jake said. "We always do." Over the next few hours, Jake watched as the human crews worked together to secure the alien ships. It was amazing to see how quickly people who had never met before could coordinate their efforts. Captain Roy Mitchell from the Iron Will took charge of the largest alien vessel. Captain Helen Park from the Deep Thought used her scientific equipment to study alien technology. Captain Dan Fisher from the Unity organized medical care for all the wounded, both human and alien. Dr. Amy Carter was working in the medical bay of the alien flagship, treating injured pirates. Jake found her there, carefully bandaging the arm of a young alien warrior. "How are they doing?" Jake asked. "Better than they expected," Amy replied. "This one was sure we were going to torture him. He couldn't believe I was actually trying to help." The young alien looked up at Jake with large, frightened eyes. He said something in his own language, and Exmoor translated. "He says he has never seen enemies show kindness to prisoners. He wants to know if all humans are like this." "Most of us," Jake said. "We try to be." Exmoor shook his head. "This is why we underestimated you. We thought kindness was weakness. We thought mercy was cowardice. We were wrong." Jake sat down across from the alien captain. "Tell me about your people. Are all Zephyrians pirates?" "No," Exmoor said. "Most of my people are farmers and craftsmen. But our world is poor, and the soil is getting worse every year. Raiding other species is how we survive." "Have you ever tried trading instead of raiding?" The alien captain looked confused. "Trade? What do we have that other species would want?" "I don't know," Jake said. "But I bet we could figure something out. Humans are good at that kind of problem." Pete Sullivan came into the medical bay carrying a small device. "Captain, you need to see this. I found it in their computer system." "What is it?" "It's a database of human ship movements. They've been tracking our merchant vessels for months, learning our routes and schedules." Jake studied the device. The information was detailed and well organized. The aliens had been planning their attacks carefully, choosing ships that were isolated and vulnerable. "How did they get this information?" Jake asked. Pete's face was grim. "They have spies, Captain. Other alien species who work with them. They're sharing information about human activities." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't just random piracy. It was organized, planned, and supported by multiple alien species. Humans were being hunted systematically. "We need to get this information to the Colonial Defense Force," Jake said. "They need to know what we're dealing with." Dexmore had been listening to their conversation. "You will not like what you learn, human captain. There are many species who see your people as a threat." "A threat? We're merchants and explorers. We don't conquer other worlds." "That is exactly why you are dangerous," the alien captain said. "You spread without conquest. You make friends without domination. You change things wherever you go, and change is frightening to those who have power." Jake began to understand. Humans didn't fit the normal patterns that other species expected. They weren't conquerors like the Zephyrians, but they weren't prey either. They were something new, something that made the old rules obsolete. "Captain Morrison," came a voice over the radio. "This is Captain Mitchell from the Iron Will. We've finished securing all the alien vessels. What's our next move?" Jake stood up and walked to the communication panel. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison. We're going to take these prisoners to Haven's Rest Colony. Then we're going to discuss our next mission." "What mission is that?" Captain Park asked. "We're going to rescue 68 human prisoners from an alien base, and then we're going to send a message to the galaxy." "What kind of message?" Captain Fisher asked. Jake looked at War Captain Dexmore, who was watching him with interest. "We're going to tell every species out there that humans protect their own. Attack one of us, and you attack all of us." The alien captain nodded slowly. "You are declaring war on anyone who threatens your people." "No," Jake said. "We're declaring protection for anyone who needs it. There's a difference." Over the next day, the convoy of human and captured alien ships traveled toward Haven's Rest. Jake spent much of his time talking with the alien prisoners, trying to understand their culture and motivations. What he learned worried him. The Zephyrians were not the only species targeting humans. There was a loose alliance of alien races who saw humanity as a disruptive force in the galaxy. They had been quietly working together to limit human expansion, using pirates and raiders to attack human settlements and ships. "How many species are involved?" Jake asked Dexmore. "At least 12, the alien captain replied. "Maybe more. They call themselves the Order of Established Worlds. They believe the galaxy should remain as it has always been." "And humans threaten that?" "Yes, you make alliances based on friendship instead of fear. You share technology freely. You treat other species as equals. This is dangerous to those who rule through strength and intimidation." Jake understood now why the alien captain had said humans were survivors. They weren't just fighting pirates, they were fighting for the right to exist as they chose to exist. When they reached Haven's Rest, the colony's population came out to greet them. Jake watched as the medical supplies were unloaded and rushed to the hospital. Children who had been dying from disease would now live. That made everything worthwhile, but Jake also knew that this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, 68 humans were waiting for rescue. And beyond that, an entire galaxy was watching to see what humanity would do next. Jake Morrison stood on the docking platform of Haven's Rest, looking up at the stars. He had been a simple merchant when this day started. Now he was something else entirely. He was a defender of humanity, whether he had chosen the role or not. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did when their family was threatened. And Jake was going to make sure that lesson was remembered for a very long time. 3 days later, the human fleet arrived at the coordinates War Captain Dexmore had given them. The alien base was built inside a large asteroid, hidden from most sensors. It looked like a natural rock formation, but Jake Morrison could see the weapon ports and docking bays carved into the stone. 15 ships, Navigator Ben Torres reported from his station on the New Horizon. All Zephyrian design, plus the base itself. They're powering up weapons now. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking at the tactical display. Around him, 11 human ships waited for orders. They were still just civilian vessels, cargo haulers, research ships, passenger liners, but they had proven themselves in battle 3 days ago. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison," Jake said into the radio. Remember, we have people inside that base. 68 humans who are counting on us. We get them out alive and we make sure this never happens again. Captain Roy Mitchell's voice came from the Iron Will. Jake, their weapons are bigger than ours. That base has military-grade plasma cannons. Then we don't let them use those cannons, Jake replied. Pete, are you ready with the electromagnetic pulse? Engineer Pete Sullivan nodded from his station. Ready, Captain? But this pulse will be much bigger than the last one. It might damage some of our equipment too. Do it, Jake ordered. All ships prepare for electromagnetic pulse in 10 seconds. The wave of energy erupted from the new horizon and spread across space. Jake watched as the lights on the alien base flickered and went out. The enemy ships floating near the asteroid went dark and began drifting. Direct hit, Ben shouted. All enemy vessels are dead in space, but the base itself still had power. Emergency lights were coming on inside the asteroid, and Jake could see movement through the transparent sections. The aliens inside were preparing for a fight. Lisa, take your boarding teams and get our people out, Jake said into his communicator. The rest of us will keep the aliens busy. Commander Lisa Brooks led 3 shuttles full of armed humans toward the base. Jake watched them approach the main docking bay, which was now defenseless with its weapons offline. War Captain Dexmore, who was standing beside Jake on the bridge, watched the attack with sad eyes. You will find more than just human prisoners in there, he said quietly. What do you mean? My people have been taking slaves from many species. Humans are not the only ones we have wronged. Jake felt anger and pity at the same time. These aliens had been hurting innocent people for years, but they had also been desperate and afraid. It didn't excuse what they had done, but it helped Jake understand why they had done it. The base tried to fight back. Some of the aliens inside had weapons that still worked, and they fired at the approaching shuttles. But human pilots were good at flying through dangerous spaces, and the shuttles made it to the docking bays safely. We're inside the base, Lisa's voice came over the radio. Heavy resistance in the main corridor, but we're pushing through. Jake could hear the sound of weapons fire in the background. The fight was intense, but he had confidence in Lisa and her teams. They were well-trained and highly motivated. Captain, Amy Carter said from her medical station, I'm getting reports of wounded from the boarding teams. 3 humans injured, but all still fighting. What about alien casualties? Jake asked. Lisa's teams are using stun weapons when possible. They're trying to capture, not kill. Dexmore looked at Jake with surprise. Even now, when your people are in danger, you show mercy? We don't kill unless we have to, Jake said. Killing someone doesn't make us stronger. It just makes us more like you. The alien captain was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again, and his voice was different. Sadder, you are right. We became monsters because we thought we had to. But you proved that strength and mercy can exist. Together, Lisa, report, Jake said into his radio. We found the prison section, Captain. 68 humans, all alive. Most are in bad shape, but they're alive. We're also finding prisoners from other species. Looks like about 200 beings total. Get them all out, Jake ordered. Everyone deserves to go home. There's something else, Captain. We've captured the base commander. He's asking to surrender. Jake thought about it. The base was defeated, the prisoners were being rescued, and the threat was over. There was no need for more fighting, except his surrender, Jake said. But keep him under guard? The rescue operation took 2 hours. Jake watched as shuttle after shuttle flew between the human ships and the alien base, carrying freed prisoners to safety. Dr. Carter and the other human medics worked frantically to treat the wounded and sick. Many of the rescued humans had been prisoners for months. They were thin and weak, but their eyes filled with hope when they saw human faces. Some of them cried. Others just stared in disbelief, as if they couldn't believe rescue was real. Captain Morrison, came a voice over the radio. This is Dr. Sarah Kim from the passenger liner Unity. I'm treating the rescued prisoners. You need to hear what they're telling me. What is it? This base was just one of many. There's a whole network of alien species working together to capture and sell humans. They have bases in at least 6 star systems. Jake felt his blood run cold. This was bigger than he had imagined. The pirates weren't just random raiders, they were part of an organized slave trade targeting his people. Do we have locations for the other bases? Jake asked. Some of them. The prisoners have been sharing information. Jake made a decision that would change everything. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. We're not going home yet. We have more people to rescue. Captain Helen Park's voice came from the research vessel Deep Thought. Jake, we're civilian ships. We're not equipped for multiple military operations. We weren't equipped for this one either, Jake replied. But we did it anyway. We're going to keep doing it until every human prisoner is free. One by one, the other captains agreed. They would stay. They would fight. They would rescue their people, no matter how long it took. War Captain Nexmore was taken to the medical bay for treatment of his worsening wounds. Jake found him there an hour later. Being tended by Dr. Carter, the alien's blue skin had turned pale and his breathing was labored. Human Captain, Nexmore said weakly when he saw Jake. I need to tell you something. Save your strength, Jake said. Amy, how is he? Dr. Carter shook her head. Internal injuries from the battle 3 days ago. I've done everything I can. But his biology is too different from ours. I can't save him. Nexmore tried to sit up, but Jake gently pushed him back down. Captain Morrison, the alien said. I was wrong about your species. We all were. What do you mean? We thought you were weak because you were kind. We thought you were cowards because you preferred peace. We thought we could take what we wanted from you without consequences. The alien captain's voice was getting weaker. But we never understood what you really are. You are not just individuals. You are a pack, a family. And when you protect your family, you become something terrible and beautiful at the same time. Jake sat down beside the dying alien. We're not perfect, Dexmore. We make mistakes. We get angry. Sometimes we do things we regret. But you also do this, Dexmore said, gesturing weakly at Amy, who was still trying to ease his pain even though he was her enemy. You show mercy to those who do not deserve it. You risk everything to save strangers. You turn your merchant ships into warships to protect your own. The alien captain closed his yellow eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, they were full of sadness and understanding. We never stood a chance against you humans, Dexmore whispered. Not because you are stronger or smarter than us, but because you are something we never learned to be. What's that? Jake asked. You are united. Not by fear or force, but by choice. You choose to be family. You choose to protect each other. You choose to show mercy even to your enemies. Dexmore's breathing became more difficult. We are raiders and conquerors, but you are something more dangerous. You are survivors who refuse to let anyone suffer alone. The alien captain looked directly at Jake. Tell the galaxy what you told me. Tell them that humans protect their own. Tell them that attacking one human means attacking all humans. They need to understand what they are facing. I will, Jake promised. Dexmore smiled, showing his sharp teeth one last time. Good, maybe other species will be smarter than we were. Maybe they will choose to be your friends instead of your enemies. The alien captain died quietly, with Dr. Amy Carter holding his hand and Captain Jake Morrison sitting beside him. In death, he was treated with dignity and respect. Jake stood up and walked to the communication panel. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. War Captain Nexmore is dead. When we get home, we're going to make sure the galaxy knows what happened here. We're going to tell everyone that humans stand together. We protect our own, we help our neighbors, and we show mercy to our enemies. He paused, thinking about the dying alien's words. But we also never forget, and we never give up. Any species that wants to be our friend will find us loyal and generous. Any species that wants to be our enemy will find us relentless and united. Captain Roy Mitchell's voice came over the radio. What about the other bases, Jake? What about the other prisoners? Jake looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, humans were waiting for rescue.